Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fandom Fridays. And yes, it's still Christmas, and I'm still willing to do a bunch of Christmas fics all for you. Now, one thing you may not know about me is that I am a huge Power Rangers fan. Yes, almost as big as Likara. I have a whole bunch of weapons and a whole bunch of morphers, and I've been eagerly trying to think of what type of Power Ranger fic to do for you guys later on, later on at one point in the show. So, I figured what better way to start off than this year with Christmas. After all, every year I spend watching the two Christmas specials. What about Alpha's Magical Christmas? I said the two Christmas specials out there. Like the first Power Rangers one and then the Zia one. And I love them both. So I decided to find out just which ones popped up on fanfiction.net. And lo and behold, I found one. But the best part is, it's got my Power Ranger OTP on it. Yes! Just who is my OTP for Power Rangers? Who have I managed to stick with through thick and thin? Well, let's find out, shall we? As we begin to read, as the Treeberry Memorial Library Holiday Seat section is proud to present At Christmas. At Christmas by Jasmine Shigeru. Part 1. Allison Hart Oliver was excited. It was her favorite time of the year all over again. It was Christmas time, and that meant spending the next couple of days with some of the people she loved most. She and her family were going back to Angel Grove this year to spend time with her parents' old school friends and a few of her dad's old students. She grabbed her favorite green dress she planned to wear Christmas Day and packed it in her suitcase. Yeah, all done, Allie said to herself, smiling to herself as she zipped up her suitcase. She rushed out of her baby brother's room. Jason Thomas Oliver was 1 year old. Hi, Mom, she said. Kimberly turned to her little girl. Hi, sweetie, she said. She was busy packing her son's bag. No, not that one. He doesn't like that one, Allie said. How do you know? Kim asked. Because she's the big sister, and big sisters happen to know these things. Yes, last time you put him in there, he was fussy all day, Allie answered. Kimberly stared at the powder blue shirt. She frowned for a minute before putting the shirt back into the drawer. Okay, Missy, since you seem to know what your brother likes, then you can pack his bag, Kim said, placing a hand on her hip. And remember, we'll be in Angel Grove for 4 days. Allison sighed and nodded. She walked over to the dresser and pulled out a blue shirt with a red car on it, a green shirt, a black shirt with a white bear on it, and an orange shirt with a yellow duck on it. Those first three. Clever. She then handed the shirts to her mom, who put them in the bag. Allison closed the door and pulled out the one under it. She then pulled out 2 blue pants, a pair of black pants, and green ones. She handed them to her mom. There! I'm starting to think you have your father's confidence, Kimberly said. Allie shrugged. Where are we leaving? When your dad gets home, Kim answered. He's getting the last few minute irons before we go. Allie pouted. Kim smiled down at her. I know you're ready to go now, but you can forget how forgetful your dad can be, she said. He'll be here soon. Now I just have to go finish getting JT ready. Okay, Allie said, leaving her room. She couldn't wait to get onto the road and to Angel Grove to begin her Christmas holiday. Part 2. As soon as Tommy returned home and the car was loaded, all of her family left for Angel Grove. The trip was uneventful. Allison was bored for most of the trip. She had a handheld game to play, but the batteries died sooner than expected. She envied her baby brother. JT was sleeping in his car seat. Allie was too excited to sleep. Oh! So when they finally reached at Billy's and Haley's, Allison rushed out of the car into the door, knocking furiously. It was Haley who answered the door and smiled down at the excited 10-year-old. Hey! Hi! Allie said, hugging the woman. Who is it? She heard Billy call from the living room. It's Allie. Really? Billy said. They made it here before everyone else. That's a first. Mommy made sure Daddy didn't forget anything this year, Allie said. Oh, Billy said, coming into view. He held out his arms, and Allie ran up to him, giving him a big hug. Oh, Billy said, coming into view. He held out his arms, and Allie ran up to him, giving him a big hug. Kimberly entered the house with only JT in her arms. Tommy followed with Allie's and JT's bags. A little help, please, he called out. Billy let go of Allie and she helped the former Green Ranger unloading the car. It wasn't long after Tommy's family got everything into Billy's large house before Jason's family answered. Kyle was the first through the still open door, bumming past everyone to grab onto Kimberly's leg. He loved his godmother. Everyone laughed at his voice enthusiasm. I am him, he cried. He still couldn't say Aunt or Kim. Hey! Kimberly greeted the toddler. Kyle hugged her leg tighter. He really wanted her to pick him up, but he saw JT was already in his arms. He glared up at the baby. Kat walked in, smiling at her son. A cat in Jason's ship. I don't encounter that every day. I approve. Kyle, I'll come to pick you up later, she told him. The little boy pouted and then turned to Haley. Aunt Amy, Kyle said. Help! Haley giggled and lifted the boy into her arms. 2 years old and already a lace man, Jason said behind a ton of gifts. Tommy laughed and helped his friend. About half an hour later, Rocky and his family showed up. Rocky had Sean in one arm and a bag of gifts in the other. Aisha was the same, only she held Samara. The twins were only a couple of months older than JT. Aisha and a Rocky ship? Huh? Well, okay. I mean, I never saw that coming, but alright. Billy grabbed the gifts from Rocky, and Jason took the gifts from Aisha. Tommy hurried out to get their bags. Wow, we didn't even have to ask, Aisha said, switching Samara to her other arm. Yeah, they're great, Rocky said, handing Sean to Haley, and then going out to help Billy and Tommy. Kyle ran up to Aisha. Aisha, he said, and hugged her leg. She was his second favorite art. Hey, Muskin, the former yellow bear said. I'll pick you up in a minute. Kyle nodded at her parents' promise. 10 minutes later, Trini and Zach came in. Trini? I do believe we need Brian Blessed for this. Trini's alive! For those of you who aren't into Power Rangers fandom, since the original actress for Trini Trang died, sometimes certain fanfics like to point that out into modern times. So sometimes it's rare for us to encounter a fanfic where Trini is alive in this. I'll probably tell more about that in a review, but Trini and Zach Oh, did it actually Vietnam plus Black? Oh, okay. Sorry we late. Trini apologized. Zach wanted to give the kids another gift. I swear he's going to spoil them all until we have our own. Everyone laughed. So he was carrying the gifts. Zach had their bags. Since there were only 2 of them, it was the only one trip for the luggage. Jason, Rocky, and Tommy helped with the load of gifts. Zach didn't just like spoiling the kids. He liked spoiling them all. He set the gifts next to the others. He walked up to Kimberly, Aisha, and Haley, saying hello to the women and kissing their babies on their heads. He turned to Kyle. Hey, little guy! He greeted the choir. She squatted down and held... Oh, I'm sorry. That was Trini. Sorry, it says she, but... Hey, little guy. She greeted the taller. She squatted down and held up her arms open for him. Kyle smiled at Aunt Trini and ran up to her, wrapping his little arms around her neck. You're so big, the first Yellow Ranger said, lifting him up. Aunt Amy, he said with a giggle. Hi, Aunt Trini, Allie said. Hello, Allie, Trini said, patting the girl on her head. Allie was happy to see Trini. She hadn't seen her since September. The men came in with the rest of Trini and Zach's stuff. Hey, Uncle Zach, Allison greeted. Hey, little green, Zach said, putting down the gifts and hugging the little girl. He was sure that if Allie ever became a Power Ranger, she would be a Green Ranger just like her dad. Add that to the list of possible Ranger teams. The next arrivals to the Crantons were Kira and Trent. The couple had married 3 months earlier and were acting like the typical newlyweds. They could barely stop staring at each other, always holding hands and kissing. It was the girliest anyone had ever seen Kira in a long time. Everyone, including this life reader, thought it was cute. Kira! Callie exclaimed and ran to her favorite former Yellow Ranger. Hey, little pink, Kira said, turning away from her husband to hug the girl. Unlike Zack, and to tease the former Black Ranger, Kira believed Allie could be a Pink Ranger. What about me? Trent asked Allie, holding out his arms. I know. I'm a little like you, she said, hugging him. Allie wasn't stupid. She figured that all of her friends were Power Rangers. She figured it out over the summer. There were too many publicly known former and present Power Rangers. Lightspeed Rescue, Space. Who else do we got here? Hey, Mystic! SPD in the future. A very positive Time Force is well known. Jungle Fury, no. And the RPM. Do the RPM Rangers show up in this timeline? At the gathering, it did not hurt that they all still wore their colors in some way or form. Plus, some had nicknames that had to do with their time as Rangers. Yes, Allie knew who all the former Rangers were. They just didn't know that she knew. Next came Adam and Tanya, and their daughter Trisha. Like before, the men brought in the bags of gifts. I do hope Billy's house is huge. Adam greeted everyone, sitting down Trisha next to Kyle.
Hi, Uncle Adam. I'm Tanya,
Allie said, hugging them both. Hey, Adam said, lifting up the little girl and twirling around. How are you?
I'm excited. No school, and I get to spend time with my favorite people in the world.
Allie answered, kissing the former Green Ranger on his cheek. He sat her down. I'm surprised he could still pick you up, Tanya said. You're getting so tall. I bet you're getting your hat from your dad.
Let's hope so,
Kimberly joked, handling the former Yellow Ranger, JT. JT adored Tanya. The Parks had come to visit them during Thanksgiving, and JT became attached to his Aunt Tanya. The boy cooed and giggled in her arms.
Oh! Cut it out, Fanfic. You are killing him!
Adam stared at the two. Hey, watch that little man. That's my life you're sweet on. He chuckled. The room became filled with laughter. Connor and Ethan showed up together. Ethan with their bags, and Connor with the gifts. Hey, everyone. The door was unlocked, so we let ourselves in. Hey, he didn't rudely care, Ethan said, rolling his eyes. I wanted to knock. Do not be concerned, Billy said. You are welcome in our home. See? I told you they wouldn't mind. The former Red Triano Ranger said, setting the gifts down. Allison laughed, but she said nothing. She was getting over her crush. Oh! But it was still there, just not as strong as last year's. Besides, she had a boy in school that liked her. She did not need to keep pining for an older man. She only waved at the two former Rangers and hid behind Chase's leg, who smiled down at the girl, knowing exactly what was on her young mind. Justin followed a minute later with one suitcase and 2 bags of gifts for his friends. Yes! We got Justin! Great. Well, then luck we get the rest of the Turbo and Space teams. Hey, I can't carry in everything myself, he said. The man laughed and rushed out to the former Blue Ranger's car to get the rest of the gifts. Trinity and Tanya took the 2 bags of gifts he was carrying.
Hi, Justin,
Allie said, getting over her son-about silence. She had no romantic feelings for the former Turbo Ranger. No duh, Fick. Hey, Allie. Justin agreed, putting his bag down long enough to hug her.
I thought you were going to bring Emily,
Allie asked. She's at home with her family.
Why?
Because she hasn't seen her cousin Richie in 2 years. And he's finally come home for the holidays, and she wanted to see him. Satisfied, Allie nodded. With everyone there, it was time to choose their rooms. Allison wanted to share a room with JT, but she didn't care. She was too excited to care. Tommy and Kim had their own room. Jason and Kat had their own room. Kyle shared a room with Trisha, while her parents had their own. Samara and San had their own room, and Rocky and Aisa had their own room. Justin, Connor, and Ethan had both shared a room. Oh, gods. They all placed the gifts they brought under the 10-foot Christmas tree. They were all back together, and it felt like home. Part 3. The following day, the former Rangers and their children made their way to the youth center, an annual Christmas party. Like every year, they gathered in Eagle Grove instead of Reefside. They helped decorate their old hangout with festive decorations. Tommy, of course, hung the mistletoe, just to be the one to deliver the first kiss under it. Kimberly smiled out down, and happily they received their kiss. Of course, this being better than the last time they tried that. Connor met a girl who just happened to be his age and had a twin sister for Ethan. The four hit it off wonderfully. Ain't that a coincidence? Ding! Justin volunteered to help soothe the fern. Since the party was mostly for children, there were no alcohol. So the men kept their promises not to get drunk again this year. Hey, Kim greeted Tommy as he stood in the car watching everyone. Hey. What's wrong? Kim asked. Nothing, he said before looking down at his wife to see that she didn't believe him. Tommy sighed. We should all get together more often, he said. Kim laughed. Really? That's nothing to be upset about. And I agree with you. It would be nice to see everyone more than once a year. We should really plan for that. Tommy smiled down at her. Kim kissed him. I love you. I love you too, Tommy said. Teresa smiled at the couple. They were always meant to be, Kat said, sitting next to him. Yeah, I know, but try telling Saban that! There was a time you didn't believe that, Teresa said. I didn't want to, Kat said. I could see their connection back then. I was blinded by my own feelings. Do you regret dating him? Her husband asked. That dear child letter never happened! Sometimes, Kat answered honestly. But there are times I'm glad it happened. My relationship with Tommy made me see that we never would have worked. If we hadn't dated, I would never have seen that. I might have still been in love with him. Then I'm glad you dated him. Caesar said, if you were still in love with him, you would never fall in love with me. They smiled at each other and shared a kiss. Aisha sat with Rocky, her legs crossed over his, and his hand on her knee. I, I love this time of year, the former ranger said. Me too, his wife said lazily. Rocky turned to look at Aisha. You're beautiful, he told her. Aisha smiled and blushed. After all the years they've known each other, the former Blue Ranger could still make her special. Thank you, she said. I'm so lucky to have you, Rocky said. Thank you for our twins. I couldn't think of a better mother for my children. Aisha's blush deepened. She moved to straighten up to give her husband a passionate kiss. I love you, Rocky Mateo de Santos, she said, gazing lovingly into his eyes. Rocky smiled at her. I love you too, Aisha Marie de Santos. Across the room, Zach and Trini sat at the juice bar. Zach's hand was on Trini's thigh. They were sharing a banana smoothie, looking like a couple of teenagers. Zach smiled at his wife, and Trini smiled back at him. I wish we were like this in high school, the former Mastodon said. If we were, we would have had several kids by now. Trini laughed. Zach laughed. Yeah, he agreed, but we still love each other. Of course, Trini said. I want a Zach Jr., Zach said. And I want to give you a Zach Jr. Really? Definitely. We can start after Christmas. All right. Zach and Trini laughed. Adam and Tanya weren't too far from the other former Black and Yellow Rangers. Tanya sat in Adam's lap, her fingers running through his dark hair. This is nice. This is nice, she said. Adam hummed, loving the feeling of his wife's hand. I love you, Tanya said. Me too. Tanya smiled at Adam's response. You're so adorable. She moved her hand to stroke his ear. Tanya laughed as Adam purred. Keep that up, and we'll be working on baby too. The black frog said, Says who? Says me. Adam insisted. Tanya laughed and kissed him. Not now. Not now. Then when? Adam asked, asking wanting to have another child with his lovely wife. Soon. How soon? Soon enough. Tanya said, kissing Adam lovingly. Haley and Billy weren't talking. They weren't sitting. They were under a mistletoe giving the children a PG-13 show. They couldn't stop kissing. They didn't care that their lips were becoming numb. They just wanted to be together. And of course, we all know that this leads to Dr. K and Alphabet Soup, and I'm sorry, my own headcanon was sticking in there. Trent and Kara were sitting next to the Christmas tree. Kara leaned against Trent, her head resting on his shoulder, and his head rested on top of hers. When do you think this little lovey-dovey feeling will go away? Kara asked. I hope it never goes away, Trent said. I want to feel this way forever. It's nice and warm and safe, Kara answered. This is love. I like it. I don't like it. I love it. What is your dad doing? Kara asked. I never asked what he does for the holidays. He goes up north for the snow with Elsa, Trent answered. Kara smiled and nodded. She lovingly kissed the former White Ranger's neck. She snuggled deeper to his side. She looked around the room at the other couples. I think what we feel now is going to last, she said. Why? Look at our friends. It's like this for all of them. They are in love as much as we are. Trent nodded and smiled. They all watched as the children sang. Part 4. And what? No other team members? What about the rest of the Turbo teams, Justin? Christmas Day was finally here, and everyone, especially Allie, this, especially sentence please, this was the day everyone could open their gifts. It was sad that in a week they would all be partying again. That was the part they all hated. They felt like family, but they had their own lives. The Arrovers and the Fernandezes would return to Reefside. Park and the Santos families would return to Stone Canyon. Ethan and Connor would go home to L.A., and Justin to New York. Jason, Kat, Kyle, Trisha, Trini, and Zach would go home to San Francisco. San Francisco! They probably wouldn't be together again until next Christmas. That was the reality of their lives. But for now, they were all together, and that was all that mattered. Christmas dinner was a large spread of everyone's favorite foods. Everyone decided to forget their diets. So, what does everyone have planned for upcoming year? Kimberly asked as he blessed the food. School, Allison answered. The same. Finishing designs of that new video game, Ethan said. Soccer. Finishing up the last details on our JoJo, Adam said. He and Rocky had given up their jobs to start a martial arts school. I object to that, and Johnny Young Boss agrees with me on this. I'll still be working at the animal hospital. Well, I look forward to watching the kids and writing some new songs. Our business is soaring. Yes, Billy agreed with his wife. And we plan on starting a family of our own. Look, if it's a little girl that you decide to name Dr. K, don't give her up to any corporation known as Alphabet Soup. Promise me on this. S2. So are we, Kira said in a gay voice. There were gasps of surprise and excitement about the room, and words of encouragement. Well, I look forward to all the Christmases to come, Kimberly said. I think we should all get together more than once a year, Tommy suggested. Definitely. Jason agreed, and what Jason says usually happens. So everyone cheered, all feeling the same. The end. Well, this was decent, really. This was a decent fic. I mean, yeah, I've got a few problems. The grammar could be used touching up because a lot of the times when you heard me spacing with those sentences, that's because for some odd reason the authors put the sentences after several bits of action or split up the sentences in a way that really shouldn't work. And put the sentences in weird locations that you really shouldn't. Sometimes I wish you could see it, and there were a few spelling errors and some missing pronoun troubles. Also, it was a mite short. I mean, I only got to do this for 20 minutes. That's really, really short considering the large cast that we had and the amount of people that entered and the amount of people that we got to see on this. I wish we could have spent more time with the couples, see how their families interact, see more with the children, and watch the children interact with the parents, watch more of the conversations, watch the parents work together, to talk together, to spend time. I kind of wish we had more with the team together since we got everybody together. And I also kind of wish that Justin's friends, the Space Rangers, would have shown up. Like, come on, bring me JJ, Carlos, Ashley, Cassie. What are they doing? Probably spending time on the Megaship with Andros and Ashley spending time together, if you know what I mean. And Zane and Caron spending a little time together, if you know what I mean. But I digress. But this is not bad. Because for one, this is a simple Christmas fic, and it's given me all the Christmas feels that I want. It's given me time to see how families have come together. People spending time and having memories of days of old, or looking forward to the future. Families being remembered and friends being brought together after such a long time. Once again, we see the element of friendship coming up here. Also, this fic does something that's one of my main complaints about Megaforce. Well, mainly Super Megaforce. They forgot the freaking characters. Whereas here, it's all about the characters, their bonds, and what's been going on with them. I kind of always like that when we have a really good future fic and we see where we see these people that we've met and bonded together with for so long come together in such an amusing way or surprising ways. Where their paths have gone and where are they going and how that has changed them. There's a collection of fics on FimFiction and on DeviantArt by a girl named Kilala, and she has possible futures for each one of the main six. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I love that collection of stories. And I love it here too. Although I do have some disagreements. But still, it's a good, nice sentiment. Something that I kind of wish Megaforce did more often when it decided to, respect the past Ranger teams. Show us the other Rangers, where they've been. The pairings, of course, were a little creative, actually. Um, when it comes to Power Ranger shipping, I'm more of the Aisha and Zack side, and Billy and Trini, and Adam and Kat. So seeing this band together, kind of surprising to me. Although it does work, and I have no complaints about it. Especially with, have you figured out my OTP yet? Yep, it's Tommy and Kat. It's Tommy and Kim. I love Tommy and Kim. Yeah, I know. The official show decided to write the Dear John letter, but here's something you should know about me. That Dear John letter never happened! Because plot-wise, character-wise, and everything else-wise, it made no sense whatsoever. To quote Linkara, these guys went through freaking war together. Their bond is not something that should be easily enough destroyed by just time away. So, yeah. But, happened it did. But we, Kim and Tommy shippers, never faltered. So, all you pony shippers out there who get a little upset about Flash Sentry becoming official, which I don't think it will, just remember, we Kim and Tommy shippers had to suffer watching a Dear John letter. And we still hold out the faith. We still make sure Tommy and Kim get together. So don't lose faith, dear readers! But I love Tommy and Kim's ship. And I love when they bring the two back together in Dino Thunder in such an interesting way. Yeah, a lot of times it's when Tommy ever comes back, but I do like watching how they bond together again. And that makes it all the more enjoyable. So, but I'd be lying if I said this was my favorite. You guys want to see a really, really good example of a terrific Tommy and Kim ship together, or how Tommy and Kim got back together in Dino Thunder? Check out one of my all-time favorite Power Ranger fics, Always a Ranger, by J.V. Treviso. She has written such an awesome story where Tommy and Kim get back together, going through their experiences, having them grow back into their relationship, their bond growing, and it's written some pretty nice lemon scenes. But beyond that, it's the porn doesn't have to be there. The relationships are pure, and it makes for a far better ending. Oh, and that's another complaint I have. When you mentioned publicly known Rangers, you forgot a few. Still, short, cute, not as awesome as some of the other stuff I've read, but it's a Christmas fic, and it's kind of cute in its own way. Not completely horrible, but just the right amount of Christmas cheer to make us all happy. So, How about next week we do some Whitson, maybe some Winks fix? Who's with me? Huh? Anybody? Thank you. See you then, my friends.